Hello. So I'm going to show you how to add a little extra contrast and find more of a true or closest to your white spot and your black spot on a color image to make it look better when you try to turn it into a black and white picture. So let's get started. Alright, so I've got a picture open. I've actually got the same picture open twice. I can show you the before and after. But basically, you've got your one background image that you start off with in Photoshop or any of your layered programs if it's GIMP or something. But so background. What I'm going to do is basically create a new layer. So new layer, and just leave it as the default. And it's an empty layer, and it's right there above my original picture image layer. And um, basically what I want to do is fill it with black. So go up to edit at the top, go down to fill, and you get a couple of options. You can choose fill with white, gray, black. You can choose any color really. But in this tutorial, I'm going to fill it with black and click OK. So now I have a completely black layer on top of my image. So that's what you're wanting it to do. And over where you've got your layers, and also I might mention if you don't see any of these tools out with your workspace, you can go up to Window, and pretty much every tool that's active will have a check mark next to it. So like if you don't see layers, just find layers over here and click on it to make sure it has a checkbox. Histogram, adjustments, those are the main ones I'm using right now, and those are the ones that have check marks next to it. So that's how, if your screen doesn't look like mine, you can just click on those to make your screen look like mine. So back over here, I've got my black layer, and right above that it says normal. All layers default to normal unless you change it to something. So I'm going to click on the little arrow, and there's a whole bunch of different options that we're going to ignore and go all the way out to difference. So basically we're going to be looking at a difference of black compared to the rest of the image. So what I'm going to do is go up to the adjustments, and I'm going to create a new adjustment layer for threshold of the difference of black to the image underneath it. So we're going to click on threshold under adjustments, and it's going to turn into kind of a big blobby black and white thing based on the difference to black. So what you get here is a histogram chart that shows how much of the black versus white, and you get a little slider thing on it. And you slide it to the right, and you get examples of the brightest portions in the image, and you slide it the other way, and the areas that are still black are the darkest portions. So that's how you're going to find your true white or brightest, and then your darkest portions of your image. So basically we get to the brightest portion, and what's left are the brightest portions. And also notice too that where it clips off, it actually doesn't have actual black. It kind of ends at a really, really dark gray or a dark color of something that kind of ends there. So that's kind of the best we're going to get in this. So we're on the histogram where we're seeing the brightest portions. Depending on what tools you have, if you go to where the eyedropper tool is, hold down your left button. It gives you an option of whatever's under there. If color sampler tool is not already selected, just highlight and select it. So now you've got like a little eyedropper with a little crosshairs on it. So I want to choose one of the brightest portions of this picture, which is what's showing. because I've got this little slide bar all the way to the right where it shows the brightest parts. So I'm going to click right there. That's one of the brightest portions in my picture. So now, on this, if I go back to Properties, and if you don't have the histogram already selected, it'll click on the histogram icon again. So we've got a color sample of our brightest portion, but now we want to get the darkest portion. I'm going to slide this all the way to the other side until I only see a couple of little black areas left. And I still have the color sampler tool. I'm going to click on this spot here. So that's one of the darkest portions of the whole picture. So that's it. I've got my whitest area and my blackest area. So I've got those color samples. Now, if I hide the properties and I hide these layers, I can still see it. That's the brightest and the darkest portion of the picture. So let me go back down to background, and what I'm going to do now is adjust levels. So I'm going to click on and start a new levels layer, and it defaults to showing RGB where it shows all of the colors mixed together. You could do individual colors, but for simplicity, I've got a separate showing the white balance where you're just doing one thing based off of a 50% gray, but that's a different video to watch for getting a true white balance. But in this case, I'm going to leave it at RGB. This is a histogram of all of the colors all mixed together as one giant histogram. And you've got these little eyedropper things on the side. You've got black, gray, and white. So pretty much you've got these three sliders that kind of move based on where you've set your black or white. But in this case, I know I've got my darkest right here and I've got my lightest right here. So I could either click on the white and click on the spot up here, or click on the black and click on the spot down here. So I clicked the black eyedropper and I'm clicking on the darkest spot in my whole picture, and it moved this stuff over to where the histogram basically fixes it so that it makes this a darker, more contrast kind of thing. And then it shouldn't make a huge difference at this point since there isn't a really big drop off on the white part, but you can click on the white and actually click up there too, but it shouldn't have made a difference, and it didn't in this case. So that's actually a lot more contrast than I had before. So pretty much what we can do is look at this and then look at the original image, and you see the original image, it was, I mean, a good picture, but it lacked a certain amount of contrast that doing a little bit with finding your white and your black and then messing with your histogram with the levels, and you can see you get a lot more contrast. So this is the after, before and after. So since JPEGs don't hold all of the layers like a TIFF or a Photoshop file, and I kind of want to save this back as a JPEG, what I usually end up doing once I'm kind of happy with the results, I'll do one of two things. I'll either save it as a Photoshop file so it retains all the layers, or I'll flatten the image so it can stay as a JPEG but keep all my changes. So in this case, I'm going to go to Layer and Flatten Image, and discard hidden layers, yes, because they're not doing anything. Alright, so now I'm back to just a flat image, and just to show you the original image, I mean, it's just a single one, and you've got the more contrast. Oh, and the one other thing you can actually do to this, is actually add more contrast and brightness to it. So that's one thing I mentioned that I was going to do. So on the adjustment layers, you've also got a brightness and contrast. If you click on that, you get a brightness and contrast layer here, just like we had the threshold and the levels layers earlier. What you get are basically two sliders. I'm going to make the contrast a little bit more, and you can see that it makes a pretty big difference here. But slide kind of to taste so that you get the effect that you're looking for. And if you want, you can slide the brightness back a little bit. And let's close this out. And then I'm going to go back and actually flatten the image again. And our end result is image, mode, grayscale. And you get a lot more contrast here. And let me go back to the original image and go image, mode, grayscale. And you'll see it, it looks okay as black and white too, but it's too much neutral and not enough making things pop out, where once we add the extra contrast and find the true black and white areas, it makes a little bit of a difference. So let me know if you have any questions or if you have any other video ideas you want to see, and I can make them. So thanks for watching.